Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Paddle Pulse podcast powered by TSH Paddle. We have a super special guest with us here today and hopefully we're all going to learn a lot. I think our paddle IQ is about to go really...
I can feel it. I can feel my IQ going up
yeah,
even though we haven't
I feel
begun.
smarter even though I have not learned anything yet.
Yeah.
But we have a special guest. He is the coach of the Swedish national team. He's been coaching also lots of the top Swedish players. He used to work with the Manu Martín in his academy as the second lead coach over there. And he's currently building his own project to groom top players and champions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome David Howe to the pod.
David. Welcome, David.
Welcome, David.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you with us. And we need to start off with David. How in the world did you end up as the head coach of the Swedish national team? Where does this journey begin?
Well, it's actually this casualties of life, because when I started my journey as a paddle coach here and I was taking my license, I was the only one speaking English fluently enough to share the drills with another guy that was coming from Sweden. He was a coach there, and long story short, he drove me there, and I started working on a regular basis in Sweden. I was coming once per month, and then I got in contact with Andreas Johansson, which is probably the biggest name in paddle coaches in Sweden, and we got along quite well together. We started working together with his players. And then I started to work with Manu Martín a couple of years later. And then I was in the tournaments more often than him, because unfortunately his players sometimes couldn't afford to bring him. So as I knew the players from other camps or time that we have served during the years, they were asking me to help them in tournaments. And when at the end of last year, Simon and Adam suggested, they told me that the previous coach was leaving and there was an empty gap there. I offered myself and they were happy to contact me. And since this year is my new job.
Awesome.
Congratulations on
what
that.
an awesome journey. When did this begin? What's the timeline here when you started to work with this this solo Swedish coach who was at your academy?
It was 2021, because during the pandemic, paddle went crazy in Sweden. Yeah. The boom was insane, and then of course, I think Spain. We can agree that it's the mecca of paddle nowadays. So many different coaches from around the world were coming to us to get the license and to learn, and we happened to be at the same time at the and we became friends, and one thing led to another.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
I think a lesson we can learn here is kids, learn another language.
Yeah.
It helps.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm actually a computer engineering. And
Harun's a computer engineer.
That's the only really.
Yeah.
That's the only. I mean, English is the only thing that I've learned at school or at going to that is useful for me right now. So I have to say thank you to my parents. Because they were the ones pushing me to go to English lessons.
Engineers are great problem solvers. You need to solve a lot of problems on the paddle court, though, David. So
100%.
Don't dismiss that. Don't dismiss that.
Yeah, that's true.
You're talking about the FIP license, or what license are you referring to when you talk about the license?
I was taking it with the Argentinian Federation because I was a player back in the days. We can say semi-professional player, because I've only played a couple of FIP tournaments, and I was playing here in Madrid in the first division, which means that my level was not bad, but I was smart enough to understand that my future as a player was not so bright. So I moved to coaching, which I love, of course. And then my coach was Máximo Castellote, one of the first coaches coming to Spain and bringing the methodology and all the educational courses. And I took the courses with him. My license there's 2 levels, and I took the 2 of them with him.
That's fantastic.
I also think not bad in Spain is probably superstar in every other country.
I think we're learning that. That's you're a humble man, David.
Yeah.
Well, I am honest. I have to. I think it's one of the best qualities as a coach. You have to be honest, and I was honest to myself. And I'm not that young anymore. I've turned 31 last week. So
happy birthday!
Thank you. I was not that young to even try to invest and make it pro. So it was the right decision.
Yeah, well, it led you to us here, so we're happy.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think you're the perfect man to ask these next few questions, David, because now you're head of the Swedish paddle national team, and I think you're probably seeing all the different countries, especially now you're talking about the first phase in the European qualies. So, is there an emerging national team that's impressing you so far outside of obviously the ones that we know? Are there any ones that up and coming that you see? Those are some good teams coming.
Well, there was one that kind of was surprising during the last World Cup, but it was also because they were hiring or selecting some players coming from Spain. I'm talking about the yes.
No, that's
I don't know.
Doesn't count. Does that count?
I don't know if
I don't know if that
count.
counts, David. Come on, they naturalized 2 Spanish top 30.
You think
I think that's
like super.
That's a little bit like cheating, right?
Yeah,
but
it is.
No, but it's focusing on Europe, which is something that maybe is a little bit closer to where I am, and I'm traveling quite a lot recently. Well, of course, Scandinavia is big now. Great Britain, France, Portugal. Portugal, I think they have increased a lot the level, and the results were there in last year. They were performing super good. Now the Deus brothers are, I think they are winning rounds even in main draw, and they are coming from 0 last year. So probably I would say Portugal. Portugal are the ones that in a very short time they were amazing.
Yeah. The Deus brothers, I think they weren't playing paddle before 2019, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They're top 20 players now. They're top 20.
Yeah, they're both in the top 40, so it makes them top 20 team. Well, you've been exposed to, I would say, probably 100% Spanish players, Argentinian players also, and now Swedish players. So what are great qualities that the Swedish players have in their game that Spanish and Argentinian lack?
Maybe, well, first of all, from the physical point of view, they are probably bigger because, well, you've seen Adam, but I have, just so you can picture it, I'm 188. And my height is normal in Sweden. I'm normal. In Spain, it's true. In Spain, I'm quite tall, and in Sweden, I'm average. So that means that in the team, I think all of them are I think only Upper Green, all of them are higher than me, taller than me. So that makes a big difference, especially with this new way of playing, or this new sport that is evolving and growing, which is faster and faster and more physical. And it's also this doesn't have much to do with the game itself on the technique, but they are coming from elite training in other sports, because most of them are coming from tennis, and their mindset is something else. I mean, they are super focused. They've been working a lot to recover that that distance that was between their level and the Spanish or Spaniards or the Argentinians, and they've been fighting for 5 years, 6 years now. So they in their head they are super strong.
Yeah, I think that's a quality we've heard before about. I think Scandinavians very professional, very
exactly. That's the word.
Locked in.
They are very professional. They follow a structure. They like to schedule on time.
Very disciplined and committed.
Yep, exactly.
Then if we flip the switch and we say, okay, great qualities that Spanish and Argentinian players have that the Swedish lack, what would those be?
Well, it would be probably the understanding of the game, the tactics of the sport itself. Sweden has improved a lot, but still there are some basics that probably kids from Argentina or Spain were born with them, and for the Swedes, is still sometimes trying to convert a tennis player into a paddle one. Yeah. So for this new way of playing or modern way of playing, let's call it like that, there are lots of advantages for them because the sport is faster. There's lots of smash, blocks, transitions, and everything, and that's basically what a tennis player is good at. So probably the difference with the walls or the change of the pace of the rally, the tempo, that's something that we still need to work a little bit on.
Yeah. Well, you've been coaching the team for now a year now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a brief time, but maybe you can see the future. How soon can we expect a country like Sweden to be able, and other countries to be able to challenge the likes of Spain and Argentina?
I would say I think it's not that far from now. Especially, it depends on the conditions, because if we think of fast conditions as Valladolid, I think it works best for us. But let's say between 5 and 10 years, I think there will be bigger fights, and it won't be that clear that a team like Spain or Argentina will defeat Sweden, France, Italy, Portugal, all those teams that are doing so well that easy. So it will be okay. They will have to fight for it.
That's very exciting to hear, because we want to see different nations competing. That gives us the excitement. Every time a final in the World Cup, Spain versus Argentina, but men and women, and then who's going to win? So
exactly.
So 5 to 10 years, I would have expected more, but that's very nice to see you believe that is actually possible. That's nice.
I think so. Let's see about the European this year, because I think with this new format is going to be interesting. With only 8 teams fighting to get the trophy, and let's see about the teams that were after Spain last year, how they perform to this one.
Yeah, good. Well, we've had this conversation before, and we talk about how the different countries, based on their cultures, and they have different styles of play. Have you seen unique styles of play from different countries? Being now at the Euro Championships and seeing other countries before, or do you feel like it's the same type of paddle being played?
No. It's a big difference. I think it has a lot to do with the background that those teams have in tennis, basically, because it's the easiest way to get into the sport. So when paddle arrives in a country, people playing it are former tennis players almost every time, because the ones that are starting new, they don't have the level. But if you get a quite decent level tennis player, and it takes some time to really train, it's quite easy to adapt, and that you can tell fast if the background is there. So, as I said, now, for example, in Denmark, paddle is growing super fast, and there's lots of hype between the people there. And you can still see that they are coming from tennis, and they play fast, and they like to step in, and they smash all the time. Yeah. So it's a quite unique way of playing, and you can realize quite fast that they are former tennis players.
Oh, good to know. Well, now I want you, David, and let's get into the mind of you as a coach. So put that coaching hat on, and let's we said we're going to raise our IQ in this conversation, and now is the time. So if I'm coming to train right now with David Howe, okay, what's the school of shot that I should expect to be learning?
Well, I always work with a first analysis. So if I haven't seen you play, it's tricky. I work with amateurs sometimes. I do clinics around the world, and of course you just have 1 hour, 1.5 hours with some players, and then you ask them, what do you want to learn? What do you want to train? But if we are taking it in a more professional way, it has to come everything from a first analysis. So I would need to watch you train, or even better if I can watch you play a match, especially if it's a competition, because it can be different, the performance when you are under pressure. Yeah. And then from there, I would start analyzing and writing down, okay, these patterns are repeating over time, and this is what you need to work on. And you can maybe separate things from urgent to not so urgent, but that's the way I would do it.
What would be your style? Are you more of like, okay, I want to teach my players to be more aggressive? Are you like the more modern type of coach, or are you like, okay, consistency,
for
let's
me,
play safe?
I think even the ones that you call modern, we all agree that the base needs to be becoming solid enough to then move to a more aggressive way of playing. So you cannot think of aggressive shots. So when you're, for example, when you're learning to become a coach, or when you're learning padel, there are shots that are called basic shots. You can say like the ground strokes, the walls, volleys, and bandejas are a must. Without that, you cannot play. And then you get to the special shots, which are rulo, víbora, of course, the smash. Then you get to identify better when to slow down with the chiquita, when to use the lob. But without the basic shots and being consistent with those shots, it's impossible to move forward, because at some point you will lose. In the end, padel is a sport that is based on percentage of successful shots. If you risk without having control of your own shots, you will lose 100%.
Yeah, good points, David. And how long would it take you to make such an assessment of a player? Is it one practice session or one match, or how many on average? How many do you think you need to like really know the DNA of a player?
It's tricky because it depends on the level. So if I'm facing this situation with a pro padel player, I would need to watch him or her play for I don't know, 5-6 times to really understand which patterns are the ones that are not working, what are the opponents trying, all that, because when you think of a player of being pro, you assume that the technique is covered, for example, that the knowledge of tactics is covered, so it's harder. When you go with to train an amateur or someone that is trying to become pro and is still following the first steps, then it's a little bit easier, because as I said, if, for example, the return or the basic shots, the ground strokes are not on point, then you're missing 2 points, 2 returns per game. It's something needs to be done, and then you need to go with the basket to learn the proper technique to put the ball in, which is the rule number 1 in padel.
Yeah,
put the ball in.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, and how, David, do the top players train? Like, what does a high-level paddle training program typically look like today? Can you walk us through it?
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the part of the season that you are. If it's pre-season, the intensity is super high. So because it's the only part of the season that they can focus only in paddle, in training, and that's when if they want to change something more technique, it's the moment. Because during the season, between tournaments, is to just adjust. Sometimes they are switching even partners, and it's harder to find the time to do, I don't know, baskets in the morning, baskets in the evening, for example. So during the preseason, I would say that around 3, even 4 hours of on court, and then between 1 and 2 at the gym, so into 2 shifts more or less. And then now some coaches or some players do double sessions, and some of them just do one. Most of the times it will combine one training in the morning and then eventually matches in the evening. If it's a week, only for training. During the tournaments, it would be just warming up in the court, practicing something very specific, but the intensity will be lower.
And when you say these 3-4 hours on court during the preseason, like how much of that is fixing technique, like baskets? How much of that is situational stuff? Like how do you approach that on-court training part?
Probably, I think it depends, of course, on the coach. But the way I would do it, it would be starting from the technique and the control drills, because the technique it can also be trained with a partner. It doesn't have to be always with the basket, because when the level of the players is good enough, you can rely on them keeping the ball long time enough to practice, for example, volleys on overheads or the lob. So if the players are coming after a short period of holidays, then I would start with the technique. And then when the weeks are coming, they will move to a more real match situation, start with the tactics. That's when also the partners usually travel, and then we have to keep in mind that sometimes they don't even live in the same city. So at the end of the preseason is when most of the teams gather together and start competing a little bit, practicing the plays that they would like to perform, and then start with the matches.
Yeah,
very nice,
very interesting. And can you give us an example of like what does it look like, the specific technique? Maybe what's the most common technique that you're working on in the preseason? Is it the bandeja? Is it the bajada? Is it the vibra? Like volleys? What is it? And then how do you work on it? Like how do you approach fixing this skill?
I would say that at the beginning it has to do a lot with the ground strokes, to get control, to get the feeling with the ball. I'm sure that you have felt when you haven't played for a while, let's say 1 week, 10 days. After that, you have mixed feelings about the ball. So you need to recover that feeling and then feel like you're touching the ball in the sweet spot and putting the ball at the pace that you want and at the place that you want. And that would be the beginning. And then maybe start increasing the difficulty with some overhead shots and more specific things that I don't know if they have to improve the one specific shot, then is when you do more and more baskets alone.
Yeah. Any main drills or exercises that you'll do to, for example, for the ground strokes to recover the feel? Like how do you work on that?
Yeah, for example, I like now that the sport is played, well, not now, but when you get to a certain level, the sport is played a lot in the transition area, which exactly where we say the amateurs that you cannot play, that's where the pros live. So we do, I like to do lots of drills down the line and practicing especially the switching of tempo, reducing the speed of the ball, trying to buy time for yourself while moving forward. And those drills are quite intense as well from a physical point of view. So during the pre-season, I use them a lot.
Yeah. So it's like one person at the net, one person at the back, and then someone in the transition area, and just intentionally slowing the ball and then attacking?
Yeah, for example, or a very easy example to understand is one player in front, one back, and then they are hitting volleys until the one back can slow down the tempo with a chiquita, moves forward to the middle of the court, and then go with another chiquita again. And when it's closer to the net, they just put a volley and then move backwards. So trying to get used to that feeling of being in the middle of the court and needing to slow down the tempo, because if they speed it up, they will probably lose.
Very nice.
So it's the feel of the ball, and at the same time, in a way, awakening the footwork. So the transition zone, I guess, it makes you move your feet the most. You have no place to relax, so you have to move the feel of the ball at the same time with the intensity of moving in the transition area. So the mix of both of those together, that's what gets the motor running again.
Yeah, we work a lot on also on the movements of the court. So you can draw some little steps to take until you get the ball. For example, you can get around a cone and then hit the forehand and then move again. So that also helps to develop and get in a better shape, because after the holidays, all of them are coming a little bit a little bit more fat, you want to say.
A little bit juicy. They're feeling a little bit juicy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because I imagine this transition, in slowing down the pace, was probably quite difficult for tennis players who are used to, maybe if they're aggressive, they like to chip in charge and then take the net, and they're used to playing aggressive and smash, and this chiquita doesn't exist in tennis essentially. So how do you kind of let them switch their mentality to slowing down, because it feels like maybe you lose control when you're aggressive in tennis? You feel like I'm in control. So how do you tackle that point?
Yeah, it's a good question actually, because it's not easy. In the end, I think it's just making them face the truth. Because what happens with tennis players, I was a tennis player myself, and when I was moving from tennis to paddle, I felt like, I was quite decent at tennis as well. So I felt, it's impossible that I lose against these guys that are in front of me, which are in a worse shape than I am, and I can play faster and harder. I was younger, so. But then they were able to control the pace that I was putting in the ball, and without doing any effort, they were killing me. Yeah. So if you put a tennis player or a former tennis player that is starting to play, and put him back defending, playing fast all the time against some quite decent, good paddle player that can control that pace and will just blocking the ball and moving him, win over him quite easy, then he will realize that if he doesn't start slowing down the tempo of the rally, he will lose 100%. So it's just something that they need to really understand and really suffer until the mindset changes a little bit, and then they believe, okay, now this is useful. Because the drills that I was mentioning before are boring, if you want to say. No, I don't know any player that likes them, because it's so boring. It's always it's doing the same all the time. It's hard for your legs. So at some point they get bored. They are frustrated because what they want is to play free. but in the end, it's very useful because especially if you move to the competition, maybe they will need to use that strategy over 1.5 hours to win a match. And if they are not allowed to lob, for example, then they need to get into the transition area only with chiquitas and low balls. They have to practice and they have to learn that way.
Is that one of the most difficult things to get Swedish players and non-Spanish and Argentinian players to adjust to, or
100%.
is there anything more difficult even? Okay,
no,
that's the most difficult.
yeah. The thing is that they have for let's say that former tennis players, they feel quite comfortable touching the ball away of the body. So in the transition, they are quite good, but they struggle maybe to find that first ball that allows them to step in. So if that first shot is not good enough, the quality of the shot is not good enough, then it will be a suicidal movement to step in, and then they will struggle to survive.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good point.
And David, how much can you train alone without a partner? Like when you're talking about the preseason, sometimes you're practicing without a partner. Like how much of these training sessions on court can be without a partner versus with?
Well, it's. I think it depends. Of course, it's not the best, but unfortunately, it's very very common. I mean, for example, Coello and Tapia, most of the times they meet on tournaments. The thing is that they know, they know each other that much that most of the things that they are doing, it's inside their muscle memory, and they know what to expect from the partner and everything. But it's very common that players work on their own with their coaches, with some sparrings, and then they gather together and practice more like real match situations or even match situations to fix the tactics. But all the technique and everything, it's on their own.
Yeah. So ideally, what's the percentage you would say of practicing on your own? Like you want to be practicing on your own?
I would say 75%.
75.
In teams that are not coached by the same partner, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, by
But
the same
not
coach.
completely. Yeah, but not completely on your own on the court. Not like doing basket drills, but like just playing with someone who's not your competition partner.
Yeah. That I would say it can be 75%.
Wow.
And how much of the time is spent completely alone, like just doing technical things? Would you say?
It depends on the part of the season and what's needed, on the player as well. There are some players, for example, there are some players that rely so much on their shots that they just need a basket from time to time, and then they are prepared. And some of them they like to do more baskets to refresh, if you want to call it, technique, and feel confident for the tournament. So I would say at least every week for sure, but some of them will ask you to do it 4 times per week, and maybe for others it's just 2, and they are fine.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, David, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chingoto and Galan, they practice with each other more than the rest.
Yeah, that's Chingoto moved to M3 Academy with Jorge Martinez when he joined Galan. And I mean, of course, if you ask me, that's the best situation possible, because even though sometimes they will do baskets alone, or maybe sometimes one of them cannot attend to the training and the other one is training as well, the more time that you share together is the best for the team. That's for sure.
Yeah. Because we've talked about this before, but we feel like one of their superpowers is how close they are as a team.
Yeah.
And I think that the credit goes to the fact that they're with each other at the academy probably most of the day.
Yeah, and they get along quite well, I think. So that's also, it depends on the people, on the players as well. Some of them need to be close to the partner and feel confident and comfortable around him. And some of them, they just meet for the matches, and they don't even have lunch or dinner together. It depends.
Then the Coelho and Tapia style of only meeting during the tournaments, would you recommend anybody to do that?
Well, it's not working that bad for them, right? So, I would say if it's the strategy to become number one, and then it's valid. No, but I think it's also because they need. I mean, we also need to keep in mind that they spent lots of weeks away and with the team on tournaments. Now they're playing also other things like PPL, like Reserve Cup, Hexagon. There's plenty of things.
Yeah.
So they are in a position that they are wealthy enough to, for example, bring the family or girlfriends or something, and then they like to, even during the tournaments, spend time with them and feel a little bit isolated from the paddle bubble, if you want to call it. So yes, and then, well, they know each other very well. It's working for them, so who can blame them?
No one.
It's working. And back to the training again, David. So how do you train? You talked about now pro players spending their lives in the transition area. You talked about the speed of paddle becoming faster. How do you adapt to that, or how do you train for that, especially more of the clashes at the net, the volley to volley? Like, is this now, are you training for this, or is it just a byproduct of the way? Like, how do you adapt the training, and how do you train for knowing that this is the game?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's 100%. Everyone is working on that because the sport is there right now. Even in the this previous week in Bordeaux, even that was a slow court, if you want to say, and even there were a lot of transitions. It's all the time working. So what we do is just train with some restrictions, some rules that don't allow the players start the point without getting into the area or the box. So let's say, easy example, you're not allowed to hit a lob behind the line. So if you want to be able to start with a lob, then it has to be through a transition, and then with a volley lob or a ball closer to the net when you are in the transition area. And for that,
like at the baseline, you don't hit from behind the baseline. You're in front of the baseline if you want to play.
Exactly. Service line. Yes, something like that. And then you, of course, you have to also set some marks for the players in front, not to be too close to the net, because then the drill doesn't make sense. But all that is those restrictions are the ones that are forcing the players to practice that situation, because during a match in certain tournaments, it's almost impossible to start with a lob that is like not hide from the players. If they can read the lob, even in a slow court, they will smash.
Do you train for volley to volley clashes?
Yeah.
Or is that something?
Yeah. Of course, that's something that is trained a lot. And I mean, the things that I mean, when we see them like with the reflexes and everything, that's something that is trained. Of course, then you can have the natural talent like Galan, for example, which is amazing because he can
the behind the back ones.
Yeah, he has super fast hands, but that's something that you also train. You train as well the blocks, for example, when stepping in, how to block properly an overhead, where to locate yourself, where to move, where to aim with the lob so the ball can get closer to where you want it with the block. All that is trained.
Yeah. How do you train the volley to volley clashes?
Yeah, well, forbidding the lob, for example. If you can only move forward and play low, at some point there will be a battle of volleys. So or even in, as I said at the beginning, the control drills, you can put some marks in the middle of the court and tell them, well, you have to practice this. Play fast to the body, volley, and then you practice your reflexes, practice the body position, the balance, everything.
Excellent.
Well, this brings up a good transition to the next question, because you're talking about putting restrictions, and then we talk about Galan and how he has obviously talent. And we had talked before with Coach, and he told us that Galan and LeBron, for example, when they were younger, they were experimenting a lot, which gave them the ability to do what they do on the paddle court. So at this specific level where you're coaching, they're called professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's something like the Swedish national team, those are professional players. So at that level, would you allow them, how much do you allow them to experiment, or is the name of the game consistency above all?
I think it has to be a balance. It's true that before Galan, I think that's public known that he was not winning matches when he was a junior. He was losing. He was not like other paddle players that are now on top that were winning underage. He was not, and he was probably missing more than others. And now he's, if not the best, the second best left side player in the world. So him with LeBron were the ones changing this whole concept, and they were moving to a more aggressive way of playing, and it led us to Coello and Tapia, which really don't mind if they are making unforced errors, because they will keep risking next one. So I think it's just a matter of finding a balance between that. Of course, now you can let kids or youngsters that are starting to play to be creative, to I don't know, try to discover their own way and especially have fun and enjoy, but with always the keeping an eye on being consistent enough to really be able to battle and compete against good players. So it has to be a balance.
Yeah. Well, specifically for, let's say, the Swedish team right now, do you allow them to experiment much, or no? Because you guys, for example, you're coming from tennis. I need to teach you these things. I need to do this and that.
Yeah, I really like to. I let them free, especially with the shots that are easy for them. So if we said that the tennis players have control in front of the body, the ground strokes in front of them, and they want to maybe play more angles with the backhand to the fence. And I know, I'm thinking, I don't know, for example, Daniel Bindal, which is probably one of the best Swedish players in the whole history, and he has some ground strokes that are super good. So I encourage him to try, because it's his game style. So I always say that you cannot train two players the same way. So you have to know your player and know what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and if he feels confident to risk with his ground strokes, even though you're not supposed to, maybe he will play a little bit more consistent other shots. So again, if it's in a balanced way, I will allow him and I will encourage him to risk and feel free in that situation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've been around pro players for a long time now. What are some of the things in training that you think everyone should copy that the pro players do?
The defense. I think it all starts from there. It's for example, when I was taking the license, one of the main quotes of my coach was everyone, and it was the era of Lebron and Galan's era. And everyone was so impressed by the winners that they were hitting, but no one was paying attention to how little efforts they were doing from the defense. So that's something that is maybe not that spectacular, that is not on every in every clip on TikTok or Instagram, because it's not that fun to watch. But for a coach, knowing that the players are going to defend and are able to play this close to the net all the time, and then go deep with the lob so it bounces super close to the wall, all that is something that if you can learn it is a gift.
Yeah. I guess you have, when you're so great defensively and you don't make mistakes there, that gives you the luxury to make the mistakes when you're playing offense.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it depends on who you ask, but probably most of the players will tell you that it's always easier to attack than defend, and especially nowadays. So becoming, I mean, you have the perfect example with Bella. He was 16 years in a row number one in the world because he was the best defending. He controlled the timing. He controlled the lob. It was for me, I would say that the lob is the most important shot in paddle, 100%. If you ask which shot do you want to always be able to do it at the best accuracy ever, I will go with the lob. It will give you a difference between the others compared to the others, huge.
David, we had this discussion before where we were having this debate, what's more important, the smash or the lob? And we kept on going back and forth. Yusuf was on the side of that, no, we need the lob is more important. Me and Smail are saying, no, the smash is more important.
It's the lob.
So, okay.
It was a bit but it was recency bias because we were in Valladolid and the smashes were flying. So like, oh, maybe the smash is the most important. Then you go into Bordeaux, which is slow surface, and like, oh, I think it's the lob. Like, it depends on the condition.
Yeah, no, but it's the lob, because even when there's
thank you
no, but I would say that if you ask, I mean 99.9 of people around the paddle bubble will say the lob, because it's without the smash you can win, but without the lob you can't.
Yes.
You can't. It's impossible. For example, Chingoto is winning, is smashing right now a little bit more, but it's not one of his strengths, and he's been winning for many years now. Same with Dineno, Bergamini. Lots of players, they control the lob, they control the defense, and then they are winning matches. Only with the lob. Sorry, only with the smash. Without the lob, it would be impossible.
Yeah.
Possible.
So David, if I give you Chingoto's lob, you'll take it over Tapia's smash?
But Tapia can lob as well.
No, he can't.
It depends on the partner as well, but for me, for example, if you take, if you have to say, okay, let's put it like this: Chingoto with or without the lob, and Tapia with or without the smash. I will go with Chingoto with the lob and Tapia without the smash. I'm sure that we are winning more matches that Tapia with the smash and Chingoto without the lob. I'm positive about that.
Okay.
The point I was making to them, David, was like, I can neutralize your smash with my good lob. But how can you neutralize my good lobs? Like, hit good volleys, but all the professionals, they're capable of hitting a lob out of any shot.
And
so it's so hard to
we have to keep in mind that there's different types of lobs. It's not only the high one.
Yes.
There's also the fast one, the volley lob, half volley lob. So being able to slow down the tempo and it's part of the counterattack. It's super important.
And so, are you training the lobs a lot as a result of this, David?
Yeah, for sure. Especially at the high level, because for example, if you want to lob over Galan's corner, it has to be really close to the corner, because if not, the ball will fly and it will be over. So you practice the accuracy of the lob, and that's probably one of the most impressive things when you get too close to these amazing players in the paddle bubble, how they can control the tempo of the lob.
It's insanely impressive.
It's so impressive now that you mentioned
you said practicing to get a lob over Galan. How about getting a lob over Adam Axelsen?
Well, but I mean, if you watch in Valladolid, they did it a couple of times. Chingoto was able to do it. When we were, we get a little bit specific about this, but when we were attacking Chingoto's corner and it was not good enough, he was able to go down the line with the lob over Adam's left shoulder. Yeah. Impossible for him to do nothing. Of course, you cannot lob him with a high lob over his head. That's true. But you can always try to find the left shoulder going fast, and he will struggle.
Yeah. In conditions like Valladolid, the fast lob is the solution, correct?
Exactly. It's that one or the super high, what we call pinchado, but some of the players are that good that even with that kind of lob, they are able to smash. So I would go with the high one. Yes. The fast one.
Yeah, I've seen Galan and Tapia, they were smashing that one as well.
They don't care.
This is extremely tough.
It's crazy. What's the best drills, David, to practice the lob? What are the best drills you're doing to get to perfect the lob?
Well, that's a little bit about the techniques. So it can be done with just baskets. We work on different aimings, different heights, different speed, and then you can also move to 2 against 1 situations. For example, depending on who are you facing, you can practice. If you have sparrings, you can practice with lefties because it's different, of course. Then it's I don't know. For example, when you're at a really, really high level, you practice to aim with the lob against the players that you're facing the most. I'm sure that Coello and Tapia and Lebron and Chingoto and Galan are practicing the lobs that are harder for each other because they are the worst enemies right now. So they need to practice for those players that are making them lose.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Well, then going back to the training and evolving as a player. So if I feel like I haven't been improving as a player, okay, how would you suggest that I approach this issue?
Well, I think there's 4 in every player. There's 4 legs of a table. If a player is a table, there's 4 legs. So you have to analyze which one is not letting you improve and progress. So then you have the technique is 1 leg, the tactics is another leg, the mental part is a 3rd leg, and also the physics, the physical preparation. So I would say just analyze and see, okay, why are you missing those shots? Because maybe your technique is not good enough, because your tactics are not good and you're choosing wrong where to aim or at what pace, or it's maybe because you're not fit enough to get in a good position to hit that ball. And then you have to work more at the gym and be prepared. Or maybe it's because you're risking too much risking on important moments of the match, and then you're losing, even though if you compare the amount of points won versus the amount of points lost, is not that different, and you're choosing wrong when to risk, and you're losing. So there's plenty of possibilities, and I would say, okay, make a deep analysis, take a deep analysis of what's going on, and decide which thing is urgent to change, and what you have to still work, but focusing on that one that is the most important.
You made an important point in the beginning of this entire conversation where you said your transition from player to coach was you being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You knew
Yeah.
this was the... So do you see in the players that you coach, are they honest with themselves? Because to improve and to evaluate yourself, you have to be honest.
It depends. There's some players that are honest, and it's a pleasure to work with them because it's always easy to coach them. They are always eager to learn, eager to hear, eager to listen to what you have to say to improve. And some of them are well, they don't focus that much on their own, and it's always something from outside that is making them lose. The easy answer is the partner, of course. Sometimes it's
The partner, the sun, the wind, the racket.
exactly. Sometimes it's the coach as well. Maybe the PT, the conditions. There's plenty of excuses over the thing that well, I always recommend to do a deep analysis of what you can control. So there's, as I said, 4 legs in every player that you have to keep in mind, and those are the things that you can control. And then during a match, anything can happen and you can lose. But focus on what you did and be honest with yourself.
Are there any players that also have this, like a very high level of honesty like yourself, that you felt like, wow, these guys are very honest and it's easy to coach them?
Yeah, 100%. There are. I think there are less players honest than the ones that are facing. Well, no, it's not true. But it's always harder to realize what we are doing wrong over the things that my partner is doing wrong. Or other amount of excuses that they can use. So and some of them are too hard on them, and that's not good either. Yeah. So some of them they blame themselves all the time. It's always their fault. They are always saying sorry to the partner. They are, and that's not good as well. I really like a little spirit of dominance in the players, because that makes them feel when they getting on court that they can defeat anyone.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Okay, excellent. So actually, building on that point, David, just for a second here, because I'm one of those players who tends to be more hard on themselves. Help me. How do you fix this?
Me too.
It helps a lot to watch yourself. If you can, you should try to record yourself or find streaming that you can analyze later, because it happens even to me when we are on court, or in my case outside, but really close, and we are thinking about the score. We can't think clearly, and sometimes we make things bigger than they actually are. So when you're home relaxed and you have the time to really analyze, watch the match again and see, okay, and maybe write down. That's something that is super useful. You can write down, you can analyze, okay, how many unforced errors did I do? How many winners? How did I play the important points? I don't know if you're playing with golden point or not, but was I brave enough to take the responsibility of return that gold point, for example? All that will help you to really realize if it was that bad as you thought at the beginning, or maybe you made it bigger, and you have to understand that your opponents are also playing, and that there are things that are out of your control that are also being an important part of the score in the end.
But if I count the number of unforced errors I make, David, I'm gonna snap my phone. By the time I make it to the end, how many backhand volleys did I get into the net? I'll just snap my phone.
But then it's I mean, you can then just be optimistic and say, then it's good because I know what I have to train more.
Yeah.
Good points.
Yeah, you need the spin zone. You need a spin zone.
Glass half full, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, then, let's talk a bit more about being a professional in paddle right now, because I feel like the transition to like tennis players to paddle it. Some all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm a professional paddle player, but you're not really a professional paddle player until you go through A, B, C, and D. And some people, maybe I think in the beginning, maybe now less, they don't respect being a professional paddle player. They think I can transition, anyone can play, but that's not the case. So what would you say is, okay, you have become a paddle pro. What does it take to actually become one?
Depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about, so for me, a professional paddle player is the one that can live out of paddle only by training and playing, which is a little few. If you're talking about the level, then it's just when you can really show that you are at that level for quite a decent amount of time, because the sport is in sports everything can happen. So, for example, let's say that the other day that we were quite close in the first set against Chingalan. Suddenly we won that set.
Very close.
We won that set, and then we won the match. We win the match, which it can happen. Then we go and say in the press release, no, we are at the level of Chingalan. No, sorry, it's not true. We won over them once. We were lucky. Yeah. It didn't even happen. But just I'm daydreaming. But imagine we won. Okay, that's something that I have to keep showing that I'm winning against them for a long period of time to really say that I can compete against them. So for me, it's just that's why the ranking is usually not lying, because it's based on consistency over months, over seasons, and then when you're at a certain level and your ranking stays there or even gets higher over the years, then you can say you're a professional paddle player. Just because you played a Premier Paddle and you got a wild card, or that doesn't mean you're a professional paddle player. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So then you have, David, you have your current project, Academy Grooming Champions. What's the evolution of such a player? Like, we're talking, a lot of kids are maybe listening to us now, and they're going to see this. They want to hear from a professional coach. What are the stages of their evolution or of development? Like, what do you want to see at each age or each phase that's showing that they're on track to go pro?
Well, I think it all starts with them really enjoying the sport and enjoying training and enjoying the effort that it takes to become a professional. Because if it's something that someone else, I'm talking about the parents, is forcing them to do, it's wrong. Yeah. It has to be born on them. That's why for kids, I highly recommend that they start having fun. They need to feel like paddle is fun, that they want to keep coming to training, and then they want to start eating in a good way, to go to the gym, to be in a good shape, and then they can start watching paddle on the TV, on streaming, and then they can maybe start competing when they are old enough and learn what it takes to win and what it takes to lose as well. So not rushing and trying to become a professional in early ages, it means that you're going to be a professional. For me, it's more about a matter of making them understand what it takes and asking them if that's what they really want. Because I've trained underage players, and some of them you could feel like that's what they really wanted, and they were coming eager to learn, to train. They were asking for more. That you have to almost stop them to keep going, saying, okay, that's enough. You have to go home now, or you have to go to school. But some of them were coming just because it was what they had to do. It was like going to school. They were coming and they were not interested that much in what I was correcting them or telling them. It was just because maybe, I don't know, parents had the illusion of them becoming professional, and they didn't really want it. So it has to be born from inside, and it has to be their will, and only like that they will have a chance.
Yeah, that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. And it's true that then that can kill that joy if it's forced. Let's say someone has that. What's the next phase? What do you want to see from them in the next phase?
Yeah, then.
And what age range is that?
Well, I think it depends, because when they are growing, some kids they get mature earlier. Some of them grow earlier and they get stronger earlier. So it depends on everyone. But if they are really looking forward to becoming a professional and following or having a chance, I would like to feel like they are doing whatever is in their hand to become better. Meaning things that they can control, as I said. So just by watching as much paddle as you can learn a lot. By listening to this podcast, for example, by listening to coaches that are sharing their tips online, you can learn. So there's plenty of knowledge nowadays that we are living in this area that is all only a click away from us. There's lots of things that you can learn just showing some interest, and then staying consistent. Enjoying the process.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And when we talk about building confidence of a player, David, we've heard like in tennis, Patrick Mortoglu, for example, talking about you need to win 75% of your practice matches, things like that. What do you think are key to building the confidence of a paddle player?
I would say training. Because it's in order to be able to do or to achieve something, you have to really visualize it and train it before. So it's hard to believe that you're gonna be successful in something that you have never done. So if you wanna be confident on your smash going over the fence, you have to have trained it. If not, when the ball is coming, you're thinking, "Oh, let's see if the ball is going out." That hesitation is not going on Tapia's mind. Tapia, he knows that the ball is going out, and sometimes he doesn't, but he always believes that the ball is going out. So yes, and that's because he's done it before. So training helps to feel confident, to feel stronger, to not having the need of thinking that much, having no second thoughts. It happens with left side players a lot of time when you see that the lob is super hard and you see I don't want to say names, but anyone just being so brave to go and smash, you say, well, but maybe he's done it a couple of times, so why not?
Yeah. That's so true. All right, I'm gonna ask you a tricky question here. Okay. Maybe not tricky for you, but how often should you be playing with players better than you, and how often should you be playing with players less than you?
That's a really useful question, because everyone wants to play against better players always.
Everyone, us included. We want to play with the better players.
Only Chingalan is on my level. Yeah. Only Chingalan.
No, but it's a big problem for the academies, for example. It's hard to have players of the same level always for training. And everyone wants to train with better players always. No, but I think it's the key is to find a balance, because if you're playing against let's say lower level players than you can always use it to try, for example, those shots that you're not that confident. For example, that's something that I when I coach amateurs, I was telling them, well, then if the pace of the match is a little bit lower than yours, try to use it to practice and try to read your opponent a little bit and practice, for example, this shot that we've been practicing for a couple of months now, let's say the rulo. It's a very specific shot. So if you're facing stronger players, it's very weird that you're going to have the time to think of practicing the rulo in a match. But if you're facing players that are lower level than you, and you can anticipate that lob, for example, and start to move and start to get ready for the shot, eventually you will hit it. And then, of course, playing against higher level players than you is always useful because it's giving you less time to think. So it's a good test to realize if you can handle that pace and improve, and it gets you to a focus mode that eventually is where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that the best way to evaluate your level? Or like, what would be the best way to evaluate your current level as a player?
It's just competing, I don't know, a couple of times. I don't know how many, but you cannot, as we were saying before, it has to be shown for a medium time period of time. So you have to play against those players a couple of times, and then if you're losing every time, of course, it's clear that you are under their level. If the match is even every time, then you're at their level, and if you're winning every match, then it's a little bit lower than yours. But it has to be, I don't know, say 10 matches or something like that, because in just one it's impossible.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Well, let's get into a bit of the tactical side, a few tactical questions here. So, okay, first off, just some basic tactics that you think that any player should master. What are they?
At which level? Basic level?
No, I think like good enough to be.
I would highly recommend to understand what does it mean to have the court open or when it's closed. Meaning that when you're trying to keep the court closed is when you're playing in the middle, so you can make it look smaller. It can work both at the net or when you're defending, but keeping the ball in the middle will force your opponents to take a risk if they want to play to the sides.
Yeah. Well, you have I would say actually last week you got to you had to plan tactics for the best of the best.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the top level, like, because if we talk our level, like when we're playing, okay, this person, for example, defensively, I don't know, they struggle a bit here. And you go lower level, they don't even know how to use the glass. So just play through the glass. But when it comes to the top level, what do tactics look like when we come to that level?
Well,
because we're watching David and we're like, how in the world are you coming up for tactics for these top guys?
I mean, they are still human. So there's some shots or some things that are a little bit lower than the others. So it's even easier because then it's okay. What's the best shot of, or what does this player like the most to get the ball here? So let's try to move it a little bit more here, and then he will struggle a bit more. So of course, even though even they are the best in the world and they are almost perfect, they have some weaknesses as well. Maybe it's too much to call it weaknesses, but there are things that they do not that good. And then you focus on those, of course. Let's say I think I'm not showing anything that very no magic. Where do you want to get the lob, over Chingoto or over Galan? That's easy question, right? So of course it's not that easy, not as easy as that. But if you can try to aim at the places that they don't like to play that much, then you might have a chance. And of course, you can adapt that strategy during the match, fill in on court what's going on. Maybe one player is a little bit uncomfortable, and then you have to force the shots over him. So just to sum up, there's some things that they do a little bit worse, and then you try to find them.
Yeah, which are hard to
Yeah,
find.
100%. I mean, to have a chance. Last year, I had the chance. I was lucky to defeat Paulita Anari when I was coaching Ana Catarina and Bea in Mexico, in Acapulco in March in P1. We won 7-6, 7-6. And I mean, I have a strong relationship with Angel, the Aris coach, and we talked about the match and everything. And Aris' performance was probably one of the worst that I've seen. It's nothing wrong. It's a human. But even having that performance, we won 7-6, 7-6, and it was almost a miracle. So you not only need to find those little things that they sometimes you can consider as weaknesses. They still need to not have the best day, and you have to perform your best. So the chances of winning against them are very, very little.
Yeah. Was the tactics? Sorry, Yusuf. Let me say this.
Go ahead.
With the tactic against Chingoto and Ganan, like, what was the tactic? Like, what were you thinking was the main thing that you're gonna try to do? What was your objective? Like, were you just trying to go aggressive, surprise them, shock them, not to go into long rallies because they're very good defensively? Like, what were you trying to think about to tell them to do? What was the game plan there?
Well, I knew that the conditions were helping us a lot because points were super fast. The ball was really hard to control. So I knew as well that in those conditions, playing against Adam is quite hard because he can cover almost the whole court with the smash. And so we tried to be strong in front of the net and in a part of during a part of the match we were leading our serves quite easy, and then in defense we needed to risk a little bit more, maybe try to find the fast lob over Chingoto so Galan didn't have the time to step in, and then force Adam to take steps and make him be closer to the net where he is more dangerous. Of course, there's more details, but basically that's the big idea.
Yeah. Well, David, you've had again vast experience in this game, and you've seen, I guess, the amateurs, the pros. Can you tell us what's the most underrated aspect of the game of paddle?
Maybe it's something that it's underrated for the amateurs. I don't know, but I don't think they pay that much attention to that. But it's probably the serve and the return are things that when you're playing or training and you're an amateur, you don't focus that much on that. But it's super useful. It's super important because every point starts with a serve and a return. So mastering the serve and even more important, mastering the return, it can help you to start leading the point or start having problems since the beginning of the point. So being able to serve at every aiming, at every position, and at the pace that you can control and make yourself start the point leading is something super useful, and returning, being able to return and having control of the point from the defense is even more. So maybe those shots are the ones that not that many amateurs are paying attention to, but I really think that they are super important.
This is a great point you make because we were tennis players, and whenever you're warming up for a match, we rally, and then you come in and you practice the volleys, and then you go back and you practice the serves. In paddle, we rally, we come in, we practice the volleys, we hit the bandejas, the rulos, the smashes, and we begin.
Yeah.
You never practice the serve.
But
we warm up the serve before the match.
But
you're saying it's one of the most important shots.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah,
It's crazy,
but if the pros, most of them, they do.
Yeah.
Because it's the only shot, the serve is the only shot in paddle that only relies on you.
Yeah.
You have some rules, of course,
Yeah.
but you can choose at what pace you're hitting the ball, where to aim, how far from the body you want to backswing. Do you want to slice the ball? At a certain level, you're always slicing, but you can always try to go flat if not. So in the end, is you get the possibility of setting how the point starts, and it's only on you.
Yeah.
So it's something that if you take it seriously, it can make a big difference.
Do you practice in your training sessions? Are there serve practice sessions?
Yeah,
going
100%. I've been lucky to practice or coach because when I was working with Manu Martín, Coello was collaborating with us sometimes. So when he was in Madrid, he was coming to us, and he trains the serve. So if the number one does it, everyone should do it.
Great point.
That
Great
makes
point.
sense.
Great
What's the
point.
most lethal serve you think there is in paddle? Is there such a thing?
Lefties, sir. Lefties are like
We're lefties, by the way.
yes, but
I'm lefty and Harun's a lefty.
that's a big advantage as well. Super big advantage. No, but it's of course, if you are able to serve deep and fast and control different aimings, maybe also being unpredictable because some of them they can hide where to aim, because when you're getting a first serve of a really good paddle player, either you try to anticipate, like in tennis. In tennis, sometimes you move a little bit earlier, trying to anticipate, trying to read the serve, because if not, it's impossible. So if you can point with your body to one aiming and then switch to the other and then lie to your opponent like that, it can be useful as well.
But a point to bring up here, because I think now this is the first time, this is the longest conversation we've had on the serve, and I think it's wild because it should be discussed. Speaking on my experience, sometimes I put lots of slice on my serves, but sometimes something that works very well is if I switch and I go for a kind of a flat serve where it hits off the glass faster instead of the expectation they're expecting it to spin a certain way. Is that something like more amateur, but pros, they don't change it up that much?
No. What they do is just change the aiming, and they use a lot a serve that it's not that common in amateurs, which is aiming to the body, aiming to the feet.
Yeah.
Because if the ball, when you're returning, you're more or less one medium step away from the line. But if the ball is bouncing in the line, just one step away from you, and it's coming with a slice, and it's heavy, it's almost hitting a half volley. So you can start putting a lot of pressure and just lead the point that way. So I don't think that they would go with flat serves, because what they want is the ball not to bounce high. Especially, for example, they in pro paddle, they try not to give big bounces after the glass, because good players with the glass, they are a nightmare. If you give, let's say, Paquito Navarro the chance to use the glass, he will destroy you. Because he controls the tempo of the rally with the glass. He can hit every shot. He can connect the best lobs. He can connect Chiquita fast. So for a talented or a good paddle player, having the chance to use the glass is a gift for them. So they try to aim a little bit shorter.
Yeah, great point you make about the body serve. I think it's very effective when you play. It's the toughest shot because there's no angle to go with. You have to You have to hit the ball back on the exact line that the ball came.
Yeah. But if you see, for example, Coello mastered that return because he returns with the backhand to the high backhand of his opponent, and he's in the middle of the court just with 2 steps. It's one of his favorite plays, and so they train. When you get to a certain level, they train against the strategy that they've been receiving. So it's insane.
Well, this is something I feel like I've heard recently in many different coaches or on social media. I would hear brought up, and it's the playing the serve using Australian.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard many different things. And Coach, we've had a great conversation with Coach Nacho Porto. He would bring this up as the Australian, in a way, can be inefficient because sometimes you're chasing instead of you being the serve and being the proactive one and attacking. What are your thoughts on playing Australian? Do you think in a way it is inefficient or?
100%. It's if you don't do it correctly, it can be a problem because you're leaving a big empty gap in the court for your opponent for the return. Mm-hmm. So it has to be done if you can make sure that your serve is with good quality and at the correct pace, so you have time to cover. And then it's also because you are clearly playing better in that side than the other. When I'm coaching amateurs, I highly recommend to just be able to play in both sides, and that will help them to understand and to progress, because the movements are very different, and what they need is to learn about the rallies from both sides and the position from both sides. So the more chances they get to play in both sides, the better for them. You're saying amateur, but pros you would not recommend? Well, some of them do it, but the thing is that they are quite. They're fast enough to go. And they are doing it because they are probably better in their side. It happens sometimes if 2 left side players are playing together or 2 right side players. Sometimes they don't switch, but at that level, it's easier to follow the strategy if you don't have to focus that much on which side of the court you are. So if you're following a specific strategy, a game plan, and then you have to switch, maybe it can be a little bit more tricky. So that's why they don't choose to switch. But if in amateur level, I think it can also make it harder for your opponent, especially if the level is not the same. Sometimes you get into this fridge. I'm sure that you know the concept. Yeah. So if you're switching sides, it's always harder to aim for that player. I don't know. There's different ways of using it.
Very good points. Okay, well, David, since we're talking about partnerships here, you hinted on the juicy one, Stupa and Lebron. We actually had the conversation last episode of we think LeBron, he's just an emotional guy. That's just how Spanish speak to each other. You can tell us more about that. But do you think we're gonna stick together? I'm gonna deal with all this, especially in their case, because you bring me wins. You're ranked number 5 in the world, and I'm ranked number 6. We have to be together.
Well, I mean, I'm not that close to know anything about that, but I'm sure that if they stay together, is because they have strong reasons to. And for me, LeBron is one of the best right side players in history of paddle. So and Stupa knows it 100%. And the results are there. They are doing quite okay. It's true that they are behind the two beasts as a team, like Coello and Tapia and Chingalan, but they had their chances in Valladolid, for example, and they won against Chingalan. So I think I think it's not that bad as it looks like in one short clip in a very stressful situation. I can assure that situation is stressful. So I think Stupa and his coach, if they believe that Lebron is the best partner for them, is because they can handle the situation and even understand it. And I think it's more normal than it looks like.
Okay. Well, speaking of teammates, in your minds, what are the characteristics of a great teammate?
Well, it's one that is at the same page as you, meaning that if you're eager to raise the ranking, if you're looking for doing something extra, so in the end, what is important is that the effort is even, and everyone feels like the partner is as into the progress period as them, because sometimes problems come when, I don't know, if you are really obsessed player, like that wants to train, go to the gym, go early to bed, eat well and everything, and your partner is not that much, and you're winning, then it's okay. But when you start losing, you suddenly realize that, well, it's because your partner is not maybe as fit as you. Maybe he was staying late before the day before. That kind of details sometimes can get players angry and feel like the interest that they are showing is not the same on the other side, on the partners. So just finding someone that is at the same point as you and is willing to do the same effort as you're doing. That's, for me, the same teammate, because then they will be also, it would be easier to understand on court, and when you're suffering and fighting against someone, on the side, at the same side of someone that is doing and pursuing the same as you're doing, it's always easier.
Yeah. Then those are more points on, okay, them outside the court. Is there anything specific you would say, great characteristics inside the court?
Yeah, of course.
If
you can find someone that is supportive to you on court, is the best, because but that's a lot to do with the personality. There's some players that are optimistic and they are supportive and they are always trying to be helpful, and some others are a little bit more pessimistic and they start maybe not saying anything, but you can tell on their body language that they are giving up or just starting to feel a little bit more low and is not helping you. So a supportive player is the best.
Would you say that the top guys are all this type of player, the more supportive characters?
Well, what I've noticed as well is that they demand their partners a lot on a good way. It depends also on their personality, but if I have a partner that knows how much I can offer and it's pushing me to that limit, it also helps sometimes. It doesn't have to be always like supportive in a way it's okay, no worries, we go to the next game. Sometimes if you are confident, if you trust your partner that much and you're comfortable with him or her, and you can say, hey, you can do better. Let's focus on this, not in a bad way, but just, I know that our level is it's higher than this. Let's push each other. Let's try to focus together. Let's fight together, and let's go to the next one. And that's something that in the highest level is done a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Yeah. I guess we can say that about LeBron in many ways. Is that something coachable?
It's important to learn how to communicate with your partner and learn how your partner would like to get the message. I had to learn that myself as well as a coach, because some players need straight messages, like clear instructions and stop doing this and do that. And some others, they need to understand what you're telling them. They need to see it. They need to feel it, so they can really believe you. So it's we as coaches sometimes. We are coaching different teams, sometimes in tournaments. So we need to adapt and learn how to communicate to different players.
Do you see yourself sometimes in practices where, for example, even like you're preparing for a match and players, maybe they're having practice sets and they're not giving the best body language to their partner? Is it something that you bring up, or you want it to come naturally? Like, hey, how about be more positive? Cheer him up here. Don't say that to him. Is that something that's ever discussed, or do you ever bring up those points while you're coaching your players?
Yeah. It's tricky, because I think it should be something that they have to figure out themselves, because they are grown ups, so they need to. You can always say, I think this is not useful for the team, but sometimes it is, because sometimes going back to LeBron, for example, if LeBron was not behaving like that, maybe it was against his performance. I don't know, but maybe he needs to express himself. Of course, he might need to change the ways, but if he keeps that for himself, it will explode inside, and it will be worse. So it's just they should be the ones choosing how to do it, and I usually try to stay away from those matters.
Okay. Good point.
That makes sense.
Well, last question about this partnerships thing, and it's a very juicy question whenever we ask it. Do you believe in saying sorry on the court?
To whom? To your partner?
To your partner.
Yes. Yeah, because especially when we as a team agree on a pattern or a plan, and you decide to go on your own, then I would say yes. Not when you're missing, because if you're missing with a purpose, and it's part of the game. But if we say to go with the lob down the line, and then you decided to go cross, and then we lose the point, I understand that your partner can be a little bit disappointed, at least, with the situation. Yeah. So that's when you can say, okay, well, I know that we talked about it, but I took my risk, and I lost.
Yeah. That's a very nice point. All right. David would like to ask you some questions about the tour, because you are coaching on the tour. You faced all the top dogs, and so we want to get some of that first-hand information of what it's like against some of these players. If you can bring us behind the scenes.
Okay, let's see.
All right, so you talked to us about Chingalan, but maybe you talked to us a little bit about the tactics for Chingalan. What do you think makes them so great as a team?
Well, they probably compensate each other very well, because if we were saying before that maybe Chingoto is not the most aggressive player on tour, he has a beast on his side, which is Galan, that can make I don't know how many winners per match. And on the other side, the game style of Chingoto allows Galan to feel free to move forward almost every time, because he relies a lot on Chingoto's decision from the back. So Galan's defense is a lot to move forward and step in and make himself big on court, because he has amazing reflexes and because he can be super hard to get over with the smash. He recovers the smash super good. So he likes to play fast or slow down the tempo or go with the lob or whatever, but moving forward. And Chingoto can stay and cover the rest of the court for him. And they managed to find a way to get the ball to Galan close to the net, where he's one of the most dangerous players in the world.
Yeah, so they're basically, they know how to work their way to get Galan the kill shot, I guess. Yeah, David, how are they able to dominate this matchup, basically?
Yeah, but they are dominating everyone. So the thing is that, I think they are close matches, and it's small details that are making the difference. And for me, it's just that right now they are the strongest, and Chingoto and Galan are the ones closer to them. And during the race on this season, they are super close. In Rome, they were able to defeat them. So I know that I think it's 10-1 in the last 11 matches. So it's I don't know if I'm wrong, but it's the numbers are big. But I'm sure that when Coello and Tapia step in on court against them, they suffer a lot. So it's just that they are very good.
Yeah. There's no explanation.
You said the difference is small details. Like what?
Yeah.
Can you tell us, David? Like what are some of those small details?
I mean, it's for me the fact of for me the one that is making that difference is Coello being like he is, the way he is. He's a lefty, super tall, and his arms are huge, so he can cover the court, and that he's the one making the difference against Chingoto in the cross court. And that the other cross court, Galan and Tapia, is super even, and to me, in my humble opinion, Coello wins the cross court against Chingoto, and that could be the explanation.
Yeah, such a good point.
Then I want to ask you, David, because one of my favorite teams is John Sanz and Momo Gonzalez, and they keep coming closer and closer and closer. What do you think of this team? Have they hit their ceiling, or are they? I think they're knocking on the door and they're eventually going to break through. Do you think this team is still going to improve and they can compete with the top guys?
Yeah, for sure, because Momo is always there. He's a consistent player that is always performing well during the whole season, and in the important moments he's there. He's now playing with a player that is bringing him maybe more winners, like John, and they seem to have found the game style that is fitting them. So why not? They are doing well, and I think they have the chances to at least get into some semifinals this season.
I hope so. Then how about a very, I think, controversial team in a way from a fan standpoint, which is Mike Yangos and Coqui Nieto. This partnership, it somehow does not make sense. And in the beginning it was amazing, but it seems to be getting worse and worse. What do you think of them?
Well, I think they are a really strong team, but it's hard because they are if I'm not wrong, top seed 4.
Yeah.
And in front of them,
Yeah.
they have. It's hard to believe that they can fight against the 3 in front of them in an easy way. And on the below them, there's teams that are super strong as well.
Yeah.
So it's not that at the beginning of the season they were the best, and now that they are not winning that much, they are the worst. As I said a couple of times, it's about consistency, and I'm sure that if they stay together, which I think they will come back to the good results. And I don't know which part of their current situations is because of what they did compared to the part that the opponents did to them, because they were defeated by teams that are very strong as well. The tour is super tough. Now, for example, Fran Guerrero and Javi Lear were doing amazing results in the past tournaments. So and in the last one they defeated them quite easy. So you never know.
6 love.
Yeah. So but they were coming to, if I'm not wrong, 2 or 3 times in a row losing against them in Valladolid and in Rome.
Yes.
So and suddenly 6 love. What that means is that the tour is super tough and it's even, and you cannot be sure about winning over anyone.
Yeah. Well, I wanna then.
Yeah.
But because David, we talk about. Am I lagging? Sorry. I just this last point about Cookie and Mike, because David, how it's becoming a more aggressive sport, and we see all the people that are succeeding. Coello and Tapia, they have the power and they're aggressive, and Galan obviously hyper aggressive. Chingoto forced to become more aggressive. They're not that aggressive. Can they win? Can they continue to see success with that style of play, or do they have to decide, okay, we need to shift the focus and become more aggressive players?
Yeah, but Mike Douglas is very aggressive.
I've been telling them he's aggressive.
Mike Douglas is one of the most aggressive right side players in the on the tour. He's so happy that I am supporting your. No, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Mike Douglas, what he has developed to get to that level, it was his consistency, because before he was even more aggressive than now. And of course, Koki is one of the most, if not the most consistent player on tour. So they just need to find out their own way, and maybe it's not that far from what they've been doing, because at the beginning of the season they were doing very well. It's some ups and downs, and they will come back for sure.
Well then, David.
There's a fan suggestion out there that maybe they should switch sides. Yanguas on the left side, Koki on the right side.
But Koki has been listening to that for all his life, and last year he won the Master last year. So
Master champion.
He's a warrior, and I mean, you cannot think of him as a player that is going to give up. I'm sure that he will find a way.
No, I love that team. I love them. You can never beat them easily. You will have to suffer to beat them. You have to suffer.
Yeah.
Harun, go
ahead. Well then, these are my boys, David. I've been singing their praises from the start of the year. I made a gigantic prediction. I said that Stupa and LeBron are gonna be world number 1 this year, which is not looking great so far. But been a lot of debates there. We have a lot of debates on previous episodes whether Stupa and LeBron can compete with Chingalan and Coello and Tapia. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm positive about that. They can compete against them, and they showed it in Valladolid, and there will be more chances during the season for sure. in Valladolid, if I'm not mistaken, during the final. I mean, they won the semi-final against Chingalan, and they were serving to win the first set in the final.
Yes.
So
They
it's
were.
again,
Yes.
it's really small details that can change the whole tournament. In this, for example, in Bordeaux, now Coello and Tapia won, but they were super close to be out against Momo and John Sands.
Sands.
So it's I mean, there's something in sports as well that it's very important, which is the championship, the champion's mind or aura or whatever you want to call it, that make them feel unbeatable, and then don't know how, but they manage to win. And sometimes it happens, and but what is true that what is for sure is that now that Lebron and Stupa won against Galan and Chingoto, next time that they were playing each other, they are going to play each other, they will remind that feeling, and they will feel stronger, they will be more confident.
There we go. Let's go. Because I'm saying that they just need to tweak things. They figure something out and try again. Because now we see Stupa, he's practicing on his smashes now, being like changing it up a bit and becoming more aggressive. He's used to being this kind of like maybe old school or kind of Bella style player where he only goes for the shot to kill in the end after you build a point long enough. But now he's trying to change it up with LeBron, because LeBron wants to be aggressive. So I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying.
I want to jump in here then. Do you think, David, that you can, like, for me, this is my opinion of Stupa, is like Haroon's saying, he's more of a very conservative, safe player, even though he plays on the left. And LeBron likes to play more of aggressive, move forward quicker, suffocating type of play. Can you change, if you were this type, if you're more of a conservative player, is it possible to adapt into this aggressive version? Or is it really hard to change this type of player? If you agree with this take to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wouldn't say that Stupa is not aggressive, but maybe he decides to be aggressive in a different way than a classic left side player, if you wanna say. So maybe he's not smashing as much as others, but he's aggressive with the position. He's aggressive with the volleys. And he's a very physical player, so it's a different kind of aggressiveness. So and then the same with LeBron. LeBron now he's back smashing a little bit more again, but he's also aggressive with the way that he wants always to control the pace of the rally, which is probably his strongest strength, his strongest thing. He's always available to switch the pace, so he can decide whether to play fast when the ball is coming slowly and slow it down when it's coming fast. But it's something that you can change. Of course, you can try to force the shots to be a little bit more aggressive and find more winners. But I think they are doing quite well, and they found a way of performing good together. We have to keep in mind that Stupa was injured a little bit, also LeBron as well. So, it's been not a walk in the park for them since the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
makes sense. All right, well, I want to ask you about my favorite team, Cardona and Augsburger, David. They've been so fun for me to watch. I think a lot of fans like them because they smash anything that goes up in the air. What do you think of this team? How high do you think they can go?
It's a tricky question, but they have the potential for sure. I think they are probably the team with highest ceiling to develop, to progress, to become better players, because there are some aspects of the game that they master. I can think of a team that can smash as hard as them as a team. I mean, Augsburger is the best or the hardest, and then Cardona is also a beast. Then they struggle a little bit more on defense, but it's something that can be trained. And it's let's see how they develop and progress. I think that they have potential, but not they. I don't see them as a real threat to the at least the first two teams, top seeds.
Okay.
Right now,
even though they beat them, even though.
Okay.
But I'm talking about again on a consistency level during the whole season. Of course, there's I would say a few of a couple of teams that can defeat Coello and Tapia and Chingalan for sure.
Yeah.
In a tournament, in a match, even maybe in two tournaments, but over the whole year, I think those two teams are the ones that are gonna last.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, on that note, David, who will be the next world number ones in your eyes?
That's a good one. Who will be the next number ones? Meaning this year or when?
No,
when
in general.
I mean, after Coello and Tapia.
Well, after Coello and Tapia, who is eventually going to take over Coello and Tapia?
That's a good one. I think Coello and Tapia are staying for a long time. But,
is the next world number one not born yet?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know it, because I think
they are
super young as well, and I think they are in a position to really set an umpire in terms of being number one. I don't see anyone around the age of them able to defeat them. So we can be thinking of maybe 5 more years, 7 more years of them playing at the highest level, and that's hard to believe that there's someone else able to destroy them.
So still a young guy. He still has hopefully a long way to go, barring injury. Yeah, Coello's even younger as well.
And Coello's even younger, I think. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm sorry.
Have to start now thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Then, but are there any players then that are on tour now that you think don't get enough credit and deserve more love?
Well, there's I mean, for example, a player that I know very well because I've been with him in some tournaments when he was playing with Arroyo is Edu Alonso, and he's one of the most underrated players, at least until last season when he exploded and became a real fact. Well, I really like Fran Guerrero, for example.
Yes.
I think he's
similar players. Both of those two, Fran and Edu.
Yeah, I would say that Fran is even more aggressive. He has the ability to be more aggressive. Probably Edu defends better. But Fran, he has a very aggressive backhand volley and the Vibor as well. Yeah. So he can smash. So it's even more aggressive, and I like him. Leal right now is performing very well after a period of time that he was a little bit out of the top 10 bubble. Yeah, there's hopefully a Swedish guy in the future will be there. Why not with Adam? I mean, he has the potential. He's only 19, and I mean, he's not only really strong in the body and with better chances with his height and everything. He also has the touch. He moves very well for being that tall. So he has everything to maybe be hopefully as high in the ranking as possible.
We hope so.
Yeah,
We hope to see it. We hope to see
We
it.
hope so. We hope so. Do you think, David, in a partnership, is there a leader, like on a team? Is there always a leader of the team? Or is it like a shared duty?
It depends. It's as every other relationship, it depends. But I believe that there are times that one player can maybe be stronger at. For example, as I said before, some players are more optimistic than others. So when the match is getting a little bit difficult, then maybe that player can take the role of leader and then push the team to overcome the situation and recover. And maybe there are other situations when the partner is helping more, just to keep the focus or to be a little bit more risky. Sometimes there's one player that is less afraid of losing, of winning. Sometimes winning is scary. So there are players that are overthinking too much when the match is getting to those moments, and others are just super confident and they go for the win. So I think there's always a leader, and in the teams, especially for different moments, for different situations.
Amazing.
Agreed.
I like that. I like that. All right, David, let's move into the quick fire segment here. Going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and you can answer with any player, either past or present, as you wish, from anywhere.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Here we go. All right. Most underrated player ever.
I don't know. I would say maybe Cristian Gutiérrez.
Okay. One young player who you think will break into the top 10 soon.
Adam Axelsson.
Oh, nice.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, Adam. All right. Who has the best smash?
Augsburger.
Who has the best bandeja?
Vela.
Okay.
Best vibra?
Nerone.
Oh.
Okay. Best serve?
Juan Martín Díaz.
Lefty.
Best volleys?
Galán.
Best lobs?
Velasteguín.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh. Best chiquitas?
Lebron.
Yes.
Who has the best disguised shots? You don't know what he's going to hit.
Tapia.
All right. Best defense at the back?
Chingoto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best defense at the net?
Meaning the blocks,
Yeah.
Yeah, at the net. Yeah, volleys, blocking.
the reflexes.
Yeah.
Juan Martín Díaz.
Oh.
Okay. Nice one. Who do you think's the most mentally tough?
Yeah.
The strongest,
Yes.
Velasteguín.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
Nice one. Who do you think's the most tactically smart?
Tactically smart. I
Oh,
like
good one.
Dineno.
Nice one.
Nice.
Nice one. Nice one. Okay, favorite match you've ever watched?
Favorite match. I really liked one that it's quite old. It was when Paquito Navarro was playing with Sancho Gutierrez in Valencia. I can't remember the year. They were playing against Vela and
Probably
Lima.
2018, maybe.
Yeah.
Could
be. When they were playing together, that's when I first went to a padel arena to watch like a tournament live, and I remember that team. I liked it a lot, Sancho and Paquito.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice one. All right, last but not least, who's your GOAT? The greatest of all time.
Tapia. For me, Tapia.
Oh! Didn't see that coming. Nice one.
Okay,
Nice
well,
one.
last but not least, David, so many players maybe players are watching, coaches are watching. What is one piece of advice that you would give aspiring players?
Start training and keep training. Training. Don't overestimate training. The importance of training.
Okay, and lastly, where can people find you, follow you? Anything you want to tell people about? Please go ahead.
Yeah, my Instagram account is How We Paddle. I post there about my journey, and I usually do some tips in English as well, which I think it can be useful for especially people that listening to this podcast in English, which is not the language of paddle for the moment, but hopefully it will become bigger and bigger. So that's why I'm doing it. And yeah, that's how they can find me, How We Paddle.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I must follow.
Must follow. You're going to get all of our follows, and everyone go follow David. This was super insightful. I think this was a crash course in paddle tactics, development, IQ. Okay, I thought we were going to gain some IQ points. I gained a lot. I definitely feel smarter, David.
I want to go practice my serve now.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to go practice.
I'm feeling much smarter, David, thanks to you. And, this has been an absolute blast. We hope we can do this again.
Yes.
We're going to be rooting for you, the Swedish
And Sweden
national team, and
Thank you
Adam
so much.
Axelsen and all your crew. And we wish you the best of luck. And hopefully we get to train with you and talk to you more often.
You're more than welcome to Madrid whenever you want, and we can train, maybe play a little bit, and also talk about paddle, which is my passion. So anytime you want.
That's a sweet deal, David. That's a sweet deal. That's a really good deal.
Sweet.
We're gonna take it. We're gonna take it. Accepted. We've accepted.
We've already accepted. We've accepted the deal. And I love that you made the invitation to Madrid, and then so we can avoid the cold of Stockholm, at least during winters. So
It's better in Madrid.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you
David.
very much for your time, David, and best of luck in the qualies for the European Championship. And we'll be following closely. And we're three of your biggest fans now. So watch out on your social media.
Thank you.
We're going to be commenting, and we'll support. We'll support.
we're with you, man.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, David.
It's been a pleasure, David.
Awesome. Well, guys, that was. We know in the beginning we said we're going to gain some IQ points after this conversation. Smail, any raw, quick thoughts on what we just happened with Coach David Howe?
I just love that he gave us like insights into how the top players train, like some of the things like the training of the transition area, you know, the restrictions that they put on players so that they force them to develop in certain areas. Some behind the scenes that, you know, we've heard of, you know, you hear some of these things, and just to see how it's put in practice, I love to hear that. I love to hear that.
You know, a thing I loved was, you know, the point where he talked about after taking a break, when you come back to practice, like he did a breakdown. You come back then we do baskets and we work on and I loved how he said it's all about the feel of the ball. and the forehands and the backhands, and then you move up from there. And then transition area, as you said, to work on the footwork and the movement. And I'm like, okay, it's like that. It's not just, oh, come back and just practice. There's a method that you need to follow. And he gave us a rough blueprint of how that's done, which I love to see.
Yeah,
And
Haroon, also, I realized that I basically overlook everything that he stresses on. This idea of ground strokes, the lob, the serve, things I've never practiced ever.
Yeah, like he was talking about how it's important to really master the basics. So, and then when he was talking about Galan and Lebron, like how elite they are defensively, or how they do the basics, the simple things so well, which enables them to do these trick shots, because already they have that base and solid foundation of then, okay, let's flourish now. And I like the idea of him talking about, like loving the game, because that's something that's overlooked. All of the elite coaches that we've talked to, all of the elite players, they talk about the passion. And that's something when we were, or at least when I was growing up, not a lot of people were talking about it all, loving the game. It was more of trying to just focus too much on technique and like really work on this and job, and like it's like very, very mechanical, and not it's a game at the end of the day. And again, he is an elite coach. He's stressing about how you need to have passion for the game to be a pro, and that was pretty cool.
So many takeaways. So many takeaways. Like if we talk about each takeaway that we loved, we're probably gonna do another podcast episode. But any final remarks?
Final remarks were like, it's the elite coaches take a very individualized approach to the development of a player.
I was thinking the same exact thing, because when we were practicing for a while, like we would go to practice and it's the coach and he has many different people, and like 4 courts, for example, and then we're like 12 players, and we're all doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, no, that's not what...
we're all being told the same exact thing, the same exact way, because he said, telling each one, I tell you the information in a specific way.
Yeah, even the communication is different, their development is different, what they focus on is different, what they train in the off season is different. It's very individualized, and that's what building a tailored program to develop a player in the best way for them. He didn't have, blanket answers like, even for between partners, though, it depends. Some partners, they can talk this way, and then some partners aren't, like, they're emotional. And that was...
Remember what he said about the great partnership? I'm like, I'm waiting for something on the court. He said, no, outside, that he's putting in the work, that he's sleeping early. Like, that's the professional, that's the professional view of it. We looked at it from such an amateur standpoint. He's looking at it like, okay, the fact that you're working hard, you're going to the gym, you're sleeping early, you're eating right, all that makes a difference to when you get on court just as a teammate.
Yeah, because then that means that you're not taking your partner for granted. You're not taking your partner's efforts for granted.
Yeah.
And I love that he stressed on that point. I loved how he stressed about that best partners can bring the best out of you, but like a great partner is not a partner that just is supportive, but brings the best out of you, even if he has to give you some harsh truths.
Like
sometimes.
LeBron did with Stupa.
Yeah, exactly. So that characterizes a great partner. And then, of course, the tactical insights. I think everyone's going to love that. Just the small nuances of how to attack Chingalan Coello, Tapia. Like these small differences that even at that level, there's just something they do a little bit worse, and you have to find a way to get to that. Yeah. Like now that I'm going to watch now their matches with a new lens of how to think, analyze, and enjoy these great matchups.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think everyone's going to enjoy this. Everyone's going to learn from this, and an amazing conversation. I think you guys are going to love everything that he said. If you want to learn, this guy is teaching us, and we do not get access to people this high in paddle that speak English.
Yeah, no, he's...
So it was an absolute joy.
Yeah, it was absolute joy. Highest level professional coach we've had the pleasure of speaking to.
Yes.
You guys are going to enjoy this and learn a lot. It was also a fun conversation. And if you like that one and you want to build your own paddle game, get more insights, you need to go check our interview with Coach Nacho Porto and with Christian Medina Murphy. They take us behind the scenes and they talk to us also about the development of their paddle approach, tactics, what it's like being on tour. So many insights to take there. This is really a crash course for anyone who wants to improve their paddle game.
Yeah, from a pro standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. And make sure you subscribe here to get your weekly paddle content together.
Vamos, vamos, vamos!